Listen, I'm by no means the most extreme minimalist. I still have a fair amount of stuff, but I found that there are a few things that I do that are really simple, practical, and straightforward that make a huge difference in making my home feel streamlined and minimal. I feel like when my space feels less cluttered, I'm less stressed and I'm able to focus on the things that are more important to me. So today I want to share 3 very simple things you can do to keep your home feel streamlined and serene. But before we get into that, I want to very briefly talk about the sponsor of this video, Babbel. Babbel is a language app that teaches real-world practical conversations. Babbel has these 10-minute short interactive lessons that I can fit into my very busy schedule. They have lessons, podcasts, games, videos, and they even have speech recognition that helps improve your pronunciation and accent.
Je suis sorti.
Lessons are designed by real language teachers, and it has award-winning technology that's been shown to get you speaking in just 3 weeks. And I gotta say, j'aime étudier le français parce que Babbel est amusant. I think learning a new language is a really wonderful form of self-improvement. A couple months ago, I went to Paris. I have a whole vlog about it. It was several days of pure fun. If you're interested, I'll link that above and down below. But I had used Babbel before I went to practice my French, and it made such a big impact in my ability to communicate and to connect. If you're interested in trying out Babbel, I'd encourage you to check out the link below in my description box to get 65% off your subscription. Anyway, thanks to Babbel for supporting my channel. Back to my 3 simple tips for reducing clutter in your home. My first tip is to focus on flat surfaces or your natural clutter zones. We all have those magnet areas that just seem to attract clutter. For me, it's quite often flat surfaces like countertops, a desk, or a table. For me, those areas tend to collect mail or doodads or whatever it is that's coming in and out of my home. And so I think if we use the little time we have to clear off those flat surfaces, especially the flat surfaces that are visually apparent when you enter your home, it can make rippling effects on how your space feels. I know I'm often busy and I just don't have time for a deep declutter, and gradually over time I tend to collect things. But if I at least spend the time in my week to clear off those visually apparent spaces, quite often those flat surfaces, it can make a big impact on how I feel in my space. And it allows me more flexibility. I'm more likely to invite someone over. I'm more likely to use my desk to do work. I'm able to use the space and enjoy the space in ways that I wouldn't have been able to if I didn't focus on those clutter zones. Now, there might be other clutter zones for you that are visually apparent, like maybe a basket that's on the floor that collects clutter. So figure out what area of your home tends to collect that clutter and figure out if there's some kind of solution. At least that's my opinion. My second simple tip is to create a transition zone. And I would argue that a bunch of maybe extreme minimalists might disagree with me on this, and that's totally fair. But I guess I'm coming from a place of practicality. As someone who does not pursue extreme minimalism, I think having a transition zone makes it way easier to keep my space feeling streamlined. So basically what I mean by this is to have some kind of back closet or area that's not visually apparent, but that you can use as a landing pad, a space to put things when you just don't have time to figure out where you want to keep them or to put them away in a thoughtful manner. Sometimes when I'm just really busy, I don't have time to deal with the new stuff that's coming into my home and to put it away in a really thoughtful way. I don't have time to figure out which of the items I've collected I really want to keep or give away. And so I think having a specific set aside zone where there's actually some space where you can put things that you're just not sure about or that you just don't have time in the moment to put away can really help reduce the visually apparent clutter in your space. Because once you have that space, you know that every so often when you do have the time, you need to go to that space and declutter it and put things away in a more thoughtful way. And I think this is helpful because historically, sometimes when I'd get gifts or I'd get a bunch of stuff for whatever reason, I wouldn't know necessarily what to do with it, and I would just throw it here or there, and gradually over time, the clutter around my entire home would build up because I have all these little knickknacks in random closets and cupboards and dressers, but instead I have a transition zone where I can put things that I'm just not sure what to do with. That way, they're all in one place, and when I do have the time to sit down and to go through them, I can be more thoughtful about what's coming into my home. Sometimes we just can't be perfect people all the time. Like when I'm rushing to get out the door, I don't necessarily have the time to think about, where does this new kitchen doodad, or where does this new plumbing device go? Sometimes we just don't have time for that mental cognitive load, and so putting it in a place where you know every so often I'm gonna check in with that space and make sure it's cleared out, it can really help reduce stress around new stuff coming in and create an organized, streamlined way to manage new clutter. I think a lot of keeping our homes clutter-free has to do with time management. So I think having this transition space can really make an impact on when you can fit in thinking thoughtfully about your belongings. You know how often a common strategy for reducing your shopping is to just delay, to maybe wait overnight, sleep on it, or wait a month before you purchase something? Well, I actually think having a transition space like this can help you in a similar way. It's a spot where you're able to delay your decision until you've had a little bit more time to meditate on it, so that you can ultimately make a decision about where a belonging goes in your home with more thought, or decide to declutter it. A third tip is to create small, specific goals. And I know this one might feel straightforward, but I think it's actually pretty rare for us to sit down and intentionally make a specific goal. Like sometimes in my head, I'll just think, oh, I really need to do some decluttering, or oh, I really want to streamline my space. But I don't sit down and take the time to write down and think out, what do I want to do this week to make an impact on my space? And I also think when they're really small goals, they just feel so much more doable. Clearing out just a simple junk drawer or clearing off a surface can make a big impact on my mood. Like I noticed when I have a junk drawer that's super messy that then shifts to being cleared out and really streamlined, I just feel so much better. And so sometimes it can just be little things. And for me, quite often it's making very simple time goals, like just doing 10 minutes of clearing off and decluttering a day. Or even if you're really busy, 20 minutes a week. Do what fits in with your lifestyle. But those little changes, those gradual shifts over time can have rippling effects. Sometimes we forget how clearing out a junk drawer 5 months ago still has an impact today. You know, what you do now will help you long into the future. So just remember that and take those small steps where you can. So those were my 3 simple, straightforward steps to make your home less cluttered. If you have other simple, practical tips for the average, everyday person like this, I would so appreciate it if you'd share them in the comments below. And if you like this video, you also might like a recent video of mine, 12 simple hacks to make life easier. Basically, ways to just make life better in a very simple way. If you're interested in seeing that, I'll link that at the end of this video. And that's all I've got for you today. Thank you so much for spending this little bit of time with me, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye!